Hi guys, welcome back. So guys, this is our first session and we are starting with the introduction. So as you can see, the focus is on SAP FICO. Now, FICO is the module name and this entire video tutorial will be there on this SAP FICO itself. The entire explanations will be related to SAP FICO module itself and that too on the latest version called S4 HANA. So this is the latest version guys, and so entire explanations will be there on S4 HANA itself. Okay, but I'll tell you guys, before we dive into that, it's important to first understand what SAP is. So let's begin with a quick introductions to SAP and then we will move on to SAP FICO module. So probably the first question that comes into your mind is, what is SAP? What is SAP? Now look at here, systems, applications, product in data processing, right? Well, SAP stands for systems, applications and product in data processing, and I know that's the answer most people would give right away. But I'll tell you guys, right? This is just the full form of SAP, right? This does not really tell you what SAP is all about. Okay, so here the simplest answer is it's an ERP. What is SAP guys? It's an ERP. But again, the next question is, what is ERP then? Okay, so look at here, the answer of this question is hidden in the full form of ERP. ERP stands for what? ERP stands for Enterprise Resource Planning. Now, so enterprise means what guys? A huge business organizations, right? Resources. What are the major resources required to run a particular organizations? So minimum 4M is required. Minimum 4M in the sense like, first of all, manpower is required, money is required, machines are required, materials are required, right? So minimum these are the four resources which is required to run a particular organizations, right? And planning about what? So planning about the effective utilizations, optimum utilizations, maximum utilizations of its resources. Okay, so if you talk about the definitions, I'll quote a very simple example also. So if you talk about the definition, look at here, it's a software. ERP is a software which helps an organization to manage their resources effectively and efficiently. It ensures the optimum or maximum utilization of resources. What are the resources guys? As I told you, man, money, machines and material. These are the resources required to run a particular organizations. So the efficient and optimum maximum utilization of its resources, right? So this activity we are going to achieve with the help of ERP. What is this ERP? It's a software. I'll quote a very simple example here guys. Let's have a look. Look at here. So now here I have specified an organization named Tata Motor. Instead of Tata Motor, you guys can think about a different organizations also. Okay, so now let's suppose, so Tata Motor is having multiple departments: sales department, purchase department, finance and account department, HR department, right? Different departments are there. These are the major department, of course, which is required for every organizations to run a particular organizations. Now, so just take example of a particular department. I have taken example of sales department. Now, so just assume that right now, just assume that Tata Motor is not using any ERP. It means Tata Motor is not using any software. So if they're not using any ERP, if they're not using any software, then what will happen guys? All the activities they have to perform manually, right? Manual transaction posting, manual report preparations, every activity will happen manually itself, isn't it? So now here in sales department, total number of employees are 50 because manual activities are happening here. Out of those 50 people, 25 people involved in day-to-day transaction recording because multiple transactions are taking place guys. Several sales are taking place, so multiple invoices supposed to be recorded on regular basis in sales register. Apart from this, customer returns, let's suppose certain items are defective, so customer will make a return, so those also need to be recorded in their books of account, right? Customer payment will be there and various other types of transactions also will be there. So that is going to be recorded here. So 25 people involved in day-to-day transaction recording, right? Transaction posting. Now, remaining 25 people involved in report preparations, because different kind of reports are also required to be prepared, guys. If you talk about the management take the further and future decisions based on the reports only. So they need various kind of reports. So those reports supposed to be prepared manually, because if they are not using any software or ERP, of course every activities are being done manually itself, isn't it? So total number of employee, how much? 50. Out of which 25 people day-to-day transaction recording and 25 people required for report preparations. This is like before ERP, in the sense they are not using any ERP. Let's suppose Tata Motor decided to use now the ERP. Okay. Yeah, of course nowadays everybody are using some ERP, but if you talk about 40 years back, 30 years back, in those days, like, computer was not that much prevalent. In every organization computer was not there, right? So lots of the organizations were still doing the manual activity itself. But now, so let's suppose now Tata Motor is decided to use certain ERP. Say for example, they decided to go for SAP. So it's a software, right? Now what will happen? The moment they switched to SAP, then they need only 25 people who records the transactions, who post the transaction. Because right now also the same volume of transaction will be there. So let's suppose same people are required for transaction posting. Whatever transactions were being recorded in different registers, now those transactions will be posted into SAP. SAP is a software. So they will post these transactions into this SAP software, right? What about these remaining 25 people, guys? So these remaining 25 people are not required at all, because once you post the transactions into SAP, so these transactions will be treated as input, and based on the input, output will be generated by system automatically. Report is what? Report is output. So once we have given input to the SAP system, the output will be updated and generated automatically. So the 25 people which involve in report preparations, now these people are not required, because report generations, okay, report can be generated automatically with the help of SAP, right? So now look at here. Earlier total 50 number of employees were managing the sales department, and when the Tata Motor started using the ERP, right, then what happened? Only 25 people will be able to handle the entire sales department. So whatever the remaining resources are there, these 25 resources are there, so these people can be utilized in some different activity, some other activity, right? So earlier, before ERP, 50 people. Now once the ERP is implemented, then only 25 people can handle. So these 25 people can be utilized in some different activity, guys. That's what I have specified here, if you have a look, right? So it's a software which helps an organization to manage their resources effectively and efficiently. It ensures the maximum utilization of resources. Look at here, guys. The maximum utilization is happening with the help of ERP. Earlier 50 people, now only 25 people can handle the entire sales department, and remaining these 25 people can be utilized in some different activity. So this is what the benefit of ERP, guys, right? Now, if we talk about the leading ERP in the market, there are multiple ERPs are there, but of course SAP holds the first position, right? SAP holds the first position. After that, only any other ERPs are there. Of course, Oracle is also there. This is the competitor of SAP, but I'll tell you guys, Oracle is also standing nowhere, because if you check the market share, the SAP is a market leader here. Okay. Now, so different ERPs are there. SAP, Oracle, JD, AdWords. Then we are having BAN, then EP Core, PeopleSoft, Navision is there. Tally is also a small ERP. So different ERPs are there in the market. But if you talk about like SAP holds the maximum market share. SAP has grabbed the maximum market share, and that is why SAP is called market leader. Now, if you talk about SAP, guys, so SAP is like, so this is here on SAP. It is divided into different module. Okay, different modules are there. At broader level, these modules are segregated in two parts, divided into two parts. That is functional module and technical module. Functional and technical. So which module you guys have to learn, guys? You guys are going to learn FICO, and FICO comes under which one? Functional module. It is not a technical module. Technical means codings are required. So lots of people, like, they, whenever they calls, they ask me like, sir, is there any codings or something? So I'll tell you guys, there is no coding here for functional modules. Technical module codings are required. Certain transaction codes we have to use in functional module, but that is different. Okay, that I'll explain, and I'm going to explain entire things in a very simple way. So 100%, so that 100% understanding will be there. Okay, now I'll just specify certain module name here. If you talk about functional module, then we are having FI, stand for finance module. We have CO, stand for controlling module. We have material management. We have like sales and distribution, SD module. We have HR, right? HR modules are there. And technical means ABAP and basis. There are many more module, guys. Multiple other modules are also there. I have just quoted few of them. Okay, so this is all about the introductions about this SAP, guys. And here, next session onwards, I'll explain about the FICO. First of all, I have to explain types of projects, so that I'm going to explain in next session.